Good afternoon, students. I welcome you all for the class. Today, in this session, we are going to discuss regarding cache memory. So already we have seen in the introductory part, like what are the different memories that we are having. We have discussed a little bit on that part. And today in this class, we are going to discuss it in brief, very brief in the sense like what are the different techniques that are going to use in order to map the cache memory with the main memory. So mapping the secondary memory with the main memory, we call it as a paging, right? So that things we'll be going to get later. So like we have to map the secondary memory with the main memory. So when we are going to map the secondary memory with the main memory, we call that technique as a paging. So when we are going to do that paging concepts, like we are going to map the secondary memory with this main memory. So this is the secondary memory and this is the main memory. So if we are going to map this secondary memory with the main memory, we call the technique as by making use of a paging technique, we'll be going to synchronize both the secondary memory and the main memory. And today in this class, we are going to discuss regarding this cache memory, right? So cache memory, let me tell you what do you mean by cache memory. So as you all are well aware of it, the cache memory, we also call it as the fastest memory. So fine, we call this cache memory as the fastest memory. Fine. Why we call it as the fastest memory? So why? Because like here, suppose if you are going to see the hierarchy of memories, like first you will be going to have the CPU, next you will be going to have the cache, next you will be going to have the main memory, and finally we'll be going to have the secondary memory. So these are the hierarchy you are going to have in the memory management organization. Fine. So why we call now today we are going to discuss regarding this cache memory. So why we are going to say that this cache is the fastest memory in the sense this cache memory is small in size. This cache is small in size. Only a few instructions can be accommodated in the cache memory. When compared to main memory, cache memory, suppose for example, if secondary memory is holding 100 instructions, then main memory is going to hold 50 instructions and cache is going to hold 10 instructions. So this is the hierarchy we are going to follow. So as you all well are aware of it, secondary memory is the huge memory. We can store lots and lots of data. When compared to the main memory is small. We can accommodate only few instructions. When compared with the main memory, the cache memory is still smaller, which is going to accommodate very less instructions. So that is the main reason why we are going to say that the cache is the fastest memory. So if you want to fetch any of the instruction, first CPU, what is nearer to CPU? CPU nearer to is cache. First, it will check in the cache whether that instruction which is required by the CPU is present there in the cache. It is going to fetch in the cache. If that instruction is present over here, then the CPU is going to take that instruction and it will be going to do. For suppose if the instruction was not there in the cache, why? Because I have already said you that the cache memory is very small, so we can't accommodate all the instructions in the cache memory. Fine. So if we want to accommodate another instruction, so that instruction was not there in the cache, so what we have to do, the CPU ultimately fetches in the main memory. So suppose the CPU got the instruction in the main memory, then the CPU is going to take that instruction and it will be going to do it. So here in cache memory, as I have said you, it is the smallest memory. This cache is the smallest memory. So which instructions we have to keep in the cache? In cache, we are going to make use of repeatedly or frequently used instructions. Repeatedly or frequently used instructions are going to be placed in the cache. So if frequently used in the sense, then CPU no need to go to main memory, fetch the instruction. It can get the instructions in the cache itself. So the time is going to be saved. When the time is saved, automatically the performance is going to be increased. So when we are going to make use of cache, we are going to have the high in performance. So that is the advantage of using the cache memory. So that's the reason we say that it is a very special high speed memory. So that is the use of cache. But the drawback of this cache memory is it is very costlier. It is very costly when compared with the main memory and the disk. This cache memory is very economical than CPU registers, but very economical than CPU registers. What are CPU registers? Inside the CPU there are some registers that are available, like in 8085, as I have said you, we are going to have BC, DE, HL accumulator registers, all are there now. So those registers, we are going to have some of the resistors inside the CPU, but we don't make use of all the resistors. Why? Because the resistors are very, very costly when compared with the cache memory. Fine. So that is the reason why we are not making use of resistors, and the resistors are used for temporarily storage of data. So this cache memory advantages is extremely fast memory that acts as a buffer between the RAM and the CPU. So that is the major advantage of using this cache memory. So what the cache memory is going to do, as I have said you, it holds the frequently used instructions that are immediately available by the CPU. So that is the basic introduction that is going to be given to the cache memory. So this cache memory is used to reduce the time access time or time access. Why? Because if cache memory was not there, CPU has to fetch in the main memory. So the time taken is going to be more. So the access time is going to be reduced when we are going to go with the cache memory. So the cache is smaller, as well as the cache is the fastest memory. So here in this cache, like we'll be going to have a levels of memory. We can say that these are the levels of memory. Instead of saying the hierarchy, we can say it as a levels of memory. So what are the levels of memory? In the sense, first level, level 1, we'll be going to get the registers, that is inside the CPU. We are going to get the registers. Level 2, we are going to have the cache. Fine. And level 3, we'll be going to have the main memory. And in L4, level 4, we'll be going to have the secondary memory. So these are the levels of memory. So these are the 4 levels of memory registers that are going to be placed inside the CPU. And next level is a cache memory level. Next level is the main memory level, and next level is the secondary memory level. So these are the 4 levels we are going to have. So here we are going to talk regarding the performance. So if we are making use of a cache, the performance is going to be increased. Why? Because the access time is very, very less when we are going to make use of cache memory. Access time is nothing but, as I have said you, the time taken to fetch the instruction. So that access time is very, very less when we are going to talk in the cache memory. So here when we are going to talk regarding the cache performance, we are going to have the formula. So cache performance means like it is going to be calculated in terms of cache hit and cache miss. So first one is cache hit and second one is cache miss. So what do you mean by a cache hit and what do you mean by a cache miss? So cache hit is nothing but, suppose if CPU wants some instruction, and first what it is going to do, it is going to fetch in the cache memory, right? So whenever the CPU is going to fetch in the cache memory, if that particular instruction is available in the cache, we say that it is a cache hit. If the instruction is not available in the cache, we say that it is a cache miss. So that is the cache hit and cache miss. So here the performance of the cache memory is measured in terms of hit ratio. Performance is going to be measured in terms of hit ratio. And what is the formula of hit ratio? In the sense, number of hits divided by number of hits plus number of miss. So by making use of this formula, we'll be going to calculate the performance of the cache memory. So what I have said you, hit in the sense, if CPU wants some instruction, the CPU is going to fetch in the cache memory. If that particular instruction is present in the cache, then we say it as a cache hit. If the particular instruction was not there, we say that it as a cache miss. So this is the hit and miss. So the performance of a cache is going to be measured in terms of hit ratio. So what is the formula of hit ratio? In the sense, number of hits by total number of hits plus total number of miss. So by making use of this formula, you can calculate the performance of the cache memory. And next important concept that what we are going, or that what we are looking for, is cache mapping. So when we are going to have this cache mapping techniques are three mapping techniques. So what are the three mapping techniques? In the sense, direct mapping, associative mapping, and the set associative mapping. So these are the three different techniques we are going to have. So see here. So what is a cache memory? In the sense, as I have said you in the introductory part, a cache memory is a small high-speed RAM buffer located between the CPU and the main memory, right? As I have shown in the diagram, this cache is located in between the CPU and the main memory. So what the responsibility of cache is? A cache memory holds a copy of the instructions which are present in the main memory. So main memory, we are having that instruction, and that copy is going to be placed in the cache memory. Not all the instructions from the main memory are going to be copied. You have to remember that only frequently used instructions are going to be placed in the cache memory, are going to make a copy of frequently used instructions that are there in the main memory to the cache memory. So that is the important point, you have to note it down. Fine. Not all the instructions from the main memory are going to be copied into the cache memory. Only the instructions that are frequently used or repeated instructions only are going to be stored from main memory to the cache memory. So what is the main purpose? Like, it is the main purpose is to increase the performance, accelerate your computer while keeping the price of the computer low. Accelerating in the sense, we have to improve the performance. So that is the main motto, that why we are going for the cache memory. And this is how, where the cache is going to be placed. Here, if you can see this, so here the cache is going to be placed in between the main memory and CPU. So in between, we are going to make use of cache memory. Fine. So between the main memory and the CPU, we are going to make use of this cache memory. So if CPU wants anything, first it will go to the cache. If that instruction is there, we call it as a hit. Take that instruction, do the operation. And if that instruction was not present, we call that it as a miss. Then the CPU will fetch in the main memory for that particular instruction. So this is how the placement of cache is going to be done in between the CPU and the main memory. And as I've said you, hit ratio. Hit ratio is nothing but total number of hits by total number of hits plus total number of miss. This, by making use of this formula, you can calculate the cache performance. You can calculate the cache performance. This is the formula for finding the cache performance. And the main concern, or the main topic in which we are going to deal with, is types of cache mapping. So previously we have seen the by making use of paging technique, we have mapped the secondary memory with the main memory. And now we are going to map the cache memory with the main memory. But why mapping? In the sense, the contents should be same in the cache memory as in the main memory. If the contents are changed, if the data has been changed, if the data is not absolute, then we are going to make many of the difficulties. So we need a mapping between the main memory and the cache memory. So what are the techniques that we follow when we are going for the mapping? The first and the foremost technique that we are going to follow is the direct mapping. Next one is associative mapping. And the last one is set associative mapping, or we also call it as a two-way set associative mapping. Fine. It is a set associative mapping, or we can call it as a two-way set associative mapping. Fine. So now we'll be going to see the first thing is direct mapping. So this direct mapping, we can also call it as it is a simple technique. Fine. It is a simple technique. No hectic is needed in this when we are going to talk regarding this direct mapping. So here what we are going to do is the direct mapping means it maps each block of main memory into one possible cache line. So here I'll be going to draw a diagram for you. So suppose this is the cache memory and this is the main memory. Fine, this is the main memory and this is the cache memory. So here the main memory has been divided into frames, right? Main memory is divided into frames and the cache is going to be divided into lines. Fine. Main memory is divided into frames and the cache is going to be divided into lines. So each line should fit on each frame. So or line size or frame size should be equal so that we can keep data in cache in main memory, or from main memory we can keep the data on the cache memory. So here this is how the diagrammatic representation of the main memory and cache memory is going to be done. So here, when the CPU wants to access data from the memory, it places an address. The index field of a CPU address is used to access the address. Here, I'll be going to show the diagrammatic representation over here. So here, the CPU is going to generate a 15-bit address, right? CPU is going to generate a 15-bit address. This 15-bit address is going to be divided into two fields. The first one is the tag field, which is of 6 bits, and the second field is of index field, which is of 9 bits. Fine. So do remember that CPU is going to generate a 15-bit address, or we can say it as a 0 to 15 or 1 to 16. 15-bit address it is going to generate. This 15-bit address is further divided into two blocks or two fields. The first field we call it as a tag field and the second field we call it as a index field. The tag field is divided into tag field is having the 6 bits and index field is having the 9 bits. 6 plus 9 totally 15 bits is the address generated by the CPU, right? So here the main memory and the cache memory. So here now this is the address generated by the CPU. So this 2 bits is going to, we refer this 2 bits as a tag, fine, and this 3 bit as a address. Here, as we are going for octal notation is 0 to 7. So octal notation 0 to 7. So here we are going to represent that 15-bit address in 5 bits. Each bit carries of 3 bits. Fine. So here 5 bits are there. Each bit carries of 3 bits. 3 5s are 15. So this is the 15-bit address. So that is how this is the 12-bit data. So data field is of 12 bits and address field of 15 bits. As we are going to make use of octal notation, we are going to represent each bit as a 3 bits. Fine. This is how we have represented 5 and 4. So don't get confused. Each bit is of 3. So 3 5s are 15. Here each bit is of 3. So 4 3s are 12. It is 12 is going to represent the data and 15 bits is going to represent the address. Now we are going to map the cache memory to the main memory. Suppose if CPU generated an address of 01000. If CPU generated an address of 01000. So first what the CPU will do? First, which is nearer to CPU is the cache memory or main memory? The cache memory is nearer to the CPU. 01000. It has CPU generated. 01 is the tag field and 000 is the index field. So now the CPU checks this tag first. Check the index first. So index is nothing but 000. Okay, here 000 we are having. And then it will check for tag 01. But here the tag is 00. So here we say it as a miss. And again, it will check for 000 index. So this is the first one, which is a miss. Now here it is going for the second attempt. So 000 in the index, okay, right? I need an in the tag value of 01. So here the tag value is 01. Now this data is going to be fetched. Why? Because CPU generated an address value of 0100. So here we had that 01 and 000. This address is going to be take from cache. This data is going to be given to the CPU. So this we call it as a hit, right? So this is how direct mapping is going to be done. Suppose if CPU generated an address of, so this is the first example. So this is the first example. Let me clear you with the second example. If CPU have generated an address of 01777, CPU generated an address of 01777. What CPU is going to do? CPU has to fetch in the cache memory first. First, it will be going to check with the index value 777. So now, so it will be going to check where that 777 index value is. So this is the second example, fine. So CPU will fetch fetch in the cache memory for 777. So from the starting, it is going to checking. So in the first attempt, it find 1777. So it will go here, but then it will go for the index value. I mean tag value. What is the tag value over here? 01. But what is the tag value over here? 00. So it is a miss. And again it is going for the second attempt. It is checking whether another 777 index is there or not. Okay, it will come here. This is the second attempt. So here it find the another index value. Index value is 777. What is the tag value? 77. Here also it is a miss. Now the CPU doesn't find this address 01777 01777 in the cache memory. Fine. So CPU, there nowhere this 01777 is there in the cache memory. Now CPU wants this data. What is the data that is present at this particular address location? But here, for suppose all the memory is full in the cache memory. Why? Because as I have said you before, the cache memory is very small as it can accommodate very few instructions, right? So that is the drawback. So what the CPU will do is it will check in the cache, but that address is not found over here. Then CPU, what it is going to do, it will fetch in the main memory. Now CPU going to start fetching the main memory 01777. So CPU will come here. It is 00777. So it is a miss. Again, the CPU will come here. It is 01777. It we call it as a hit. Why? Because it found the data. The CPU is going to take this data and make the necessary things. So this is how we'll be going to do that. Now, what the thing we have to do is, if the data is not available in the cache memory, we have to get the data from the main memory to the cache memory so that the CPU will utilize the data. So, but here the cache memory is full. Now, what we have to do is we have to empty one space for the new data. So by making use of this replacement techniques, we are going to replace one field, and we are going to place this another field. So that much not needed for you. So as of now, what you are going to remember is, suppose if cache memory is full, we have to empty the cache memory. So by making use of replacement algorithms, which page we have to replace, which line we have to replace, in the sense the line which is not frequently used, or the line which is not used for the long time, or the data which is not used for the long time, that data we have to replace with the new data. So this is how the direct mapping is going to be done. Simply you have to remember that the CPU is going to generate a 15-bit address. That 15-bit address is going to be represented in 5 bits. Each bit is of 3 bits. Fine. So that is going to be mapped in the cache. If that is available, Okay, no worries. It is going to take the data. If the data was not available, we have to take the data from the main memory to the cache memory. So here, what is the problem we are facing? So the problem what we are facing over here is the misses will be more. The cache miss will be more. If the cache misses are more, if the cache miss is increasing, then the performance of the CPU is going to be decreasing. So this is the drawback or the problem that we are going to face in the direct mapping. So in order to reduce or in order to overcome this, we have gone for the associative mapping. So in this associative mapping, directly I'll go with that diagram. So in this associative mapping, we are going to maintain a memory called associative cache memory. So here, this is the associative cache memory. As usual, this is the main memory. So here, what we are going to do is CPU is going to generate a 15-bit address. Fine. So this address is going to be placed in this augment register, some 01 or else some 31567. That address is going to be placed in the augment register. So after placing the address in the augment register, this address is going to be fetched among the associative cache memory. So here from the starting it will check. So here that address is available. So this data we are going to take and the CPU is going to utilize the data. For suppose if this address was not there, as usual, it has to take from the main memory and dump in the associative cache memory. Fine. Here there will be no clumsiness of data that is going to be there. So augment register in the sense, here this is the register which is going to have mapping. Suppose for example in your class, if I want to find a name of Ahmed, so that Ahmed name I'll be going to place in this augment register. Ahmed I want to place in the augment register. So this Ahmed is going to be mapped with the associative memory. So how many Ahmeds are there? Suppose here Ahmed is there. So here Ahmed is there. Only these two data is going to be retrieved. I need not search all the elements over here. What is the data that is matched with this Ahmed? That data is only going to be retrieved. Here there are 10 memory locations. Out of 10, how many I am searching? Only 2 memory locations I am searching. Why? Because only 2 Ahmeds are there. So this 2 I'll be going to see. If any Ahmed is matched, I'll be going to take that Ahmed. If that is not matched, I'll be going to search for that particular Ahmed in the main memory, and I'll be going to take that Ahmed from main memory to the associative cache memory. So that is the advantage. But previously, here what we have to do, we have to search all the things from the starting to the ending. From starting here, from till the ending, we have to search each and every one. But here the advantage is, so first in the augment register, I'm going to keep the particular word, particular data, associative data I'm going to keep. So that data is going to be matched, or that address is going to be matched with this address. Whatever the matching are there, that will only come, and remaining it will be escalating. So this is the associative mapping. But what is the drawback over here is, here suppose I have generated an address of 14566. I have generated the addresses of 14566, tag value and the address value. So first it is going to look for 566. So 566, where it is available. So here it will be, suppose 567. 567. Now for suppose this 567 has to be checked in the associative cache memory. Fine. Five, 6, 7 has to check in the associative cache memory. So here 5, 6, 7 is there. So this data is going to be retrieved. Suppose if this data is not there, or else 5, 6, 7 in the sense this 5, 6, 7 will come, and this 5, 6, 7 will also come. Why? Because the index values for both are same. So now here the thing is 14, 5, 6, 7 will come, and 31,567 will come. So out of these two, I'll be going to check for 14. So this is the 14. So this data will be given to the CPU. So like this, here it will the index value is same. Here 567 is there, 567 is there. Index value is same, but the tag value is going to be different. So that is how we are going to do the associative mapping. So there is also the drawback. Suppose if there are more, see here, if there are two tag values, so here I have to search and here also I have to search. So two times I am searching. So in order to overcome this drawback, we have gone for set associative mapping. Set associative mapping in the sense here, 000 is the index. 000 is the common index value. So 000 here it is there, here it is there. The tag values are different, 00 and 01. Here the tag value 00 and tag value 01. Previously what we have done, we have searched for two times, but here if we searched the 000 index in one line only, we can get both the data. 00 tag value will be going to get and 01 tag value also will be going to get. But when it comes to the previous one, so 0567 is here, this is the first fetch, and next one also we have to fetch, this is the second, somewhere else it was there. But now when it comes over here, if you are going for anything 000 index in the sense, what are the tag values that are matched with the 000? That 00 is there, 01 is there. That data will be going to get at once, no need of double time. Suppose if I am going for this 666 tag value. So what is the index value? What is the tag values associated with 666? 00 is there, 01 is there. So here in this place only we are going to make 00 and 01. So if CPU generated some 01,666 in the sense, first we'll be going to go for the 666 index. So 666 index, I'll be checking for 01 or 00. So I want 01. So this data is going to be fetched. What the set associative mapping has done is it has reduced the time. So instead of doing it 2 times or 3 times search, if you are going for the tag index value means the tag values, what are all associated with this particular index value can be available at once only. Fine. And for second example, the index value we want 777. So 777 is here. So what are all the tag values associated with the 777? 77 and some other tag value 66 somewhere over here. So that is associated. Like this, we are going to have the set associative mapping. So these are the three different important types of mapping techniques when we are going to concern with the cache memory. Fine. So this is how the cache memory mapping is going to be done by making use of direct mapping, associative mapping, and two-way set associative mapping. So here, as I have said you before, if the cache memory is full, we have to replace one page. We have to remove one page from the cache memory and we have to give space for the new one. So which page we have to remove? So which page we have to remove in the sense there are page replacement algorithms. Which page we have to remove? Which page we have to remove in the sense by making use of this page replacement algorithms. What are page replacement algorithms? The first one is least recently used. That means the page which is not used for the long time, that page we can remove. Or else first in, first out. The page which entered into the memory first, that page you can remove. Least frequently used. So least frequently used in the sense what infrequent instructions, what is the least priority we are giving, so that is the least priority, or else we can remove any one of the random page. So these are the 4 different techniques in order to remove a page from the main memory and to give space for the new page. So these we call it as a page replacement algorithms of cache memory. The first thing is LRU, FIFO, and LFU. LFU in the sense here it is a mistake over here. So this is LFU, least frequently used, least recently used, and FIFO. There is a lots of difference between the recently and frequently. Recently in the sense just now, frequently in the sense, so in the frequent instructions, what is the least priority you are giving? So that is the difference you will be going to come across between the least recently used and the least frequently used. Next one is writing into a cache. Very important topic for a short answer. So writing into cache. So when we are going to write operations, when memory write operations are performed, so we are going to have memory read and memory write. We can read the data from the memory and we can write the data into the memory. So writing into cache, when we are going to write anything into the cache, what CPU will be going to do is CPU first writes into the cache memory first. So here, so this is the cache memory. So when we are going to talk regarding the writing, what the CPU will do is CPU first writes the data into the cache. So these modifications made by the CPU during a write operation only, but not the read operation. So the data which is saved on the cache, that modifications are going to be done only in the write mode only. So there are two policies in the writing into cache. The first one is write through and write back. So very, very important for short answers. So what are the cache write policies? In the sense you have to say write through and write back. So what do you mean by a write through? So write through in the sense, so this is the cache memory, right? So this is the main memory. This is the main memory and this is the cache memory. So write through in the sense the main memory is updated each time the CPU writes in the cache. Suppose if CPU has written something on the cache, some written X on the cache, this data is updated each and every time. Here in main memory also it is going to update. Suppose it has modified to Y. In main memory also it is modified to Y. If it is modified to Z, in main memory also it is modified to Z. So what time? So whenever the CPU updated in cache memory, then and there itself in main memory also we will get an update, that is write through. So the advantage is that main memory always contains the same data as the cache memory. So that is the main advantage. Why? Because if CPU has written X over here, so automatically at that time only we are representing in main memory. If it is modified to Y in the sense, we are modifying it into Y. If it is modified to Z in the sense, we are modifying it into Z. So whenever the CPU updating in cache, we are updating at the same time in the main memory. So the advantage is that the data in the CPU and the main memory remains the same at any time. So that is the advantage. So here, that is the major advantage when we are going to the write through. So when it comes to the write back in the sense, so here the CPU, as in the same case, here it is the cache and it is the main memory. Fine. In the previous case also we have seen the same thing. CPU, whenever the CPU writes in the cache memory, that this, suppose it has written X over here, this X will be updated in the main memory only during the write operation, but not as a each time. So this updated locations in the, suppose here X I have updated, here Y I have updated, here Z I have updated. So whenever CPU has updated in the cache, it marks this updated one as a flag. Suppose it marked as flag. This is flag, this is flag. So CPU has updated this location to X, this location to Y, and this location to Z. So whenever CPU updated, we marked that particular updated column, updated line as flag. Suppose if CPU wants to remove this, delete this data. So if CPU wants to delete this data, then this updated will be reflected on the main memory. Till now, till then it is not going to be reflected. Suppose if I want to delete this Y page, Y line, and I want to accommodate new one, I am deleting now. As it is the set to flag, then it corresponding Y data will be updated in the main memory. Fine. See here, the updated locations in the cache memory are marked by a flag. So what the updated locations are here? So here, this X, this is Y, and this is Z. So X I have updated to Q. So it is marked as a flag. Z I have updated to P. It is marked as a flag. So, but main memory, it was not reflected. Suppose if I want to remove this line, if I want to remove this line, so if I want to remove this updated data is then reflected into, if P is there now, so Y is there, this is going to be updated as a P. At that time, it is going to be reflected. The words are removed from the cache time to time to make new for new blocks. So whenever it is going to remove, then it is going to update it. The drawback over here is the data in the cache and the data in the main memory are not same at all the time. So that is the drawback in the write back policy. So these are the two policies that are going to be done in the cache, writing into a cache. The first one is write through, write back. Write through in the sense, if cache is updated, automatically the main memory is also updated. When it comes to the write back, first the cache is uploaded. If that updated page is marked as a flag, if you want to remove that particular page, then only it is going to be updated in the main memory. So this is how the policies of writing into cache is going to be done. So this is the concept of main memory when it comes to the memory management unit. Fine. The concept of main memory is very, very important in the unit 4. Fine. Sorry, it is of unit 3. So it is not 4, it is unit 3. So in the unit 3, this cache memory is the main topic that is going to be asked frequently many times in your previous question paper. So go through the videos. If you are not understanding, go through it again so that you will be going to have a better understanding. Fine. So that's all for today's class, students. Have a nice day. Thank you.